Hello, Tom.
Mark, how are you, sir?
Well, we were just saying before we came live about time. Funny old thing. It's you sent me a message. You sent me a message saying, "Okay, for 8:30." I was like, "What? It's not been a week."
I know. It feels like 4 days ago.
Well, it feels like 3.7 days to me, but you know, that's not split
hairs. Yeah, 3.7 days. Yeah.
I was.
Yeah, that will do. 3.7 days.
I was watching our numbers video at the weekend, and I was like, and then it suddenly crossed my mind that it might be quite amusing to see what your name is in different languages for some reason. So I got in French. Got to do French. Numeros de Tom. In Italian, numeri di Tom. Spanish, numeros de Tom. Welsh, Rifal Tom, isn't it?
Is that how they say it? Is that how they say it? Is it at the end?
Oh, the thing is with Welsh, you've just got to put a question at the end of every sentence, haven't you? That's all you got to do, isn't it? You know what I mean, isn't it? There we are then, isn't it?
Some of my Welsh buddies will see that and they'll be like,
"No, I love Wales. I love Wales. I love Wales."
I know, I'm joking. They always tease us, so we tease them back.
Oh, no, it's the best. It's one of the best countries in the world, actually. Snowdon is one of my favourite places. Bethgellert's one of my favourite places. Swansea's brilliant.
I lived in Snowdon Avenue growing up.
In Snowdon?
No, but the avenue. So in Hillingdon.
Oh, in Hillingdon. Sorry, with you. Yeah.
Yeah, but my road was called Snowdon Avenue. Oh. Snowdon is 104, which is Jerusalem, and Hillingdon's 104, Jerusalem. And you just brought Mount Snowdon up, and I last climbed it. I think the one and only time I climbed it was about 10 years ago with my brother and some buddies, and we got to the top, and it was freezing. We all shared a sandwich, and we took some photos at the top. The cafe thing up there was closed, and then we defrosted all the way down.
Yeah, I've done it 4 times. The first time I went the wrong way up the ridge, and I was on my hands and knees scrambling up this, and then these 2 octogenarians just breezed past me. "Morning!" I was like, "Fucking what?" And then the second time I did it, there was this. I was struggling getting up, and this girl tottered down in a mini skirt and high heels, and I was like sweating, and it's a really funny.
What? Place. She was above you?
She was coming down. She'd already been up.
Okay, right. It's like that you were sweating on the mountain.
They have a sign halfway up saying,
"Sweating on the mount.
Please don't go any further unless you dress correctly." It's really amusing. But I'll tell you what was making me think about your name in different languages is how does numerology work with different if it's not in English or the Gematria?
Yeah, that's a good question. People have asked that before, so I haven't really done.
There is a method
words on foreign, but they would come up with. You just find the value it would come up with, and some of them would maybe correspond surprisingly, but I would imagine probably a lot of them have different meanings, but still potent and powerful in their own way as well. That would be my summation. But if people France, Italy are good at it, send some numbers through and words. Yeah,
that'd be interesting. So crazy week. It's there's a bit of a kind of quiet thing going on in terms of what's really going on. There's just everything's like this.
Yeah.
There's like
we must not mention it. We must not mention it.
Yeah, there's kind of like attacks going on left, right, and centre, which I don't really want to go into. I'm just saying it's happening.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Which was inevitable at some point. There's fake YouTube channels popping up everywhere, which is really interesting because that's kind of diluting. It's like we're all kind of everybody that talks about this stuff is just going, right, okay, I'm screwed there. I'm going to go here. I'm going to go here. and we're all dissipated across like multiple platforms.
Yeah,
which is actually a powerful weapon to use against us because people just get very habitual. And if I go, please go and watch this. I did a video on Monday with an amazing writer and investigative journalist in Israel, but I had to put it on BitChute because I know YouTube would have taken it down.
Yeah.
People go, "Oh, I can't use BitChute," and it's like, well, just refresh, wait a minute. The information's worth waiting for.
Yeah.
But people just very habitually, and it just makes you realize how powerful big tech is. When I say big tech, I'm talking about satanic companies like Twitter, YouTube, Google, and Facebook. DARPA companies, you know, darker companies.
Through the side of the mouth.
Yeah, through the side of it. So, you know, they just got such a hold, and you know, and it's very hard to leave when you're on Facebook. And you get a load of engagement, and you go on 107 Daily, and you get one like, and it's like, well, you know, it's like, come on, come over here. But it's and
if you can meander through it all, and you know, I sound like that what's that poem? If you can such and such, you'll be a man one day, son, or something like that. It's like, if you can, you know it.
It's just there.
Well, you quote it. Why did go on?
Well, I've got my own version on it on YouTube. I played it today on the show with Mel K. If 2020. So the original, which is the greatest poem ever written. Which bit do you want to know?
That bit I was trying to paraphrase in a not very well way.
I don't think there's a bit in here about, you know, meandering.
All right, we'll read the whole thing. Who's the poem by, Mark?
And this is Rudyard Kipling. He wrote. It is
Rudyard. Okay, yeah.
He wrote this for his friend when his son died.
We'll have to talk about Blake next, because I was up at Primrose Hill, and anyway, yeah.
Well, I think my audience had enough of If today, because I've already done it once on the channel. But
all right, you can send it later then.
What I'd recommend is people go and look for Michael Caine reading this on YouTube. It's like, if you could keep your head with all about you, I lose your days. I'm blaming it on you. It's all like that. It's brilliant. Anyway, let's talk
Michael
numbers.
Caine, let's talk the numbers.
Oh, hang on, yeah, Michael Caine. I've seen him on the NHS advert. I was like, no!
Yeah.
No, you've got YouTube. Do you know what? I got offered a voiceover job for the NHS about 2 months ago. I was on a walk and it came through and I was like, delete. I'm not working for them. And it struck me today about the NHS that I was telling my son about how the brainwashing is so deep. Like, so in Britain, everybody worshipped Churchill, even though he was a satanic paedophile murderer who sacrificed all those soldiers, right? But everybody worshipped him and thought he was amazing. Statues everywhere. God bless you, sir. All that crap, right? Then the British people turned against him after the war and didn't vote him in. They voted in Labour, which was a socialist government. The big ticket for Labour was the NHS, which really, when I look at it now, the NHS really was just a pharmaceutical delivery system herding people into death. I mean, the principles, I worshipped the NHS for years and years and years, but when I look back, everybody I know that's died in there, not necessarily should have died in there. All this frontline staff crap that I've been seeing clapping the NHS, they have been the frontline staff, but they've been on the front line in the war against the human race, not against the virus. So it's all this satanic inversion I'm seeing everywhere. And I know I'm not saying that everybody in the NHS is a bad person. Of course they're not. It's just,
no, of course not.
It's just shocking how we've fallen for all this crap over the years. But they've got nothing.
You mentioned an inversion. I saw one at the weekend with the NFL. I don't know if you saw the Super Bowl.
No, I did. I couldn't bring myself to watch it.
So there was a lot of numbers pointing to the NFL, to that game. A couple was, so the two words Super Bowl come to 131, which comes to John F. Kennedy. And then American football comes to 147, which is the trump card. And there were plenty others like that, like it was the 55th Super Bowl, which is JFK Jr. if you do JR. It's also 55 is the value for Melania, etc. So there was a lot of things around that. Back to the Future 3 has the train 131 at the end. You know, JFK. John F. Kennedy. The stadium it was played in was the Raymond James Stadium. Raymond James comes up to 138, which comes up to, incidentally, Huna Flash. So Huna Flash comes to 90, which is Raymond. James comes to 48, which is Tom. So me and Huna did an episode last week, and we did one at the beginning of this week. So Huna Flash, Tom, Stadium. But most importantly, it comes to Donald Trump Stadium. So it was Raymond James comes to Donald Trump 138, which is revaluation, etc. Which is Dome of the Rock, which is the pyramids, etc. You know, it can go on and on. But I was looking at it and thinking we could have, you know, and it looked on the face of it like a traditional sort of thing with their ceremonies. But I mentioned it to Huna, and he pointed something out very interesting. the quarterback, the guy that scored the last touchdown for the Patriots, not the Patriots, what I'm talking about, that's Tom Brady's old team, for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who won it. Tom Brady's name actually comes to 98, which is independence. 9 + 8, 17, Q, Diana, start time, etc., her funeral, what we've mentioned. But anyway, the last guy that scored the touchdown, he was number 45, so you got 45th president, and his name was White. And White comes to 65, which is actually Florida. And that's where, the Trump team are right now. And when you add 45 plus 65, it comes to 110, which is president. So there was lots of, even amongst the shadows of it all, there was still lots of good things going on. And what the guy did is he put his hand up and did this symbol. And at first glance, you think, oh, it's the same old stuff. And I mentioned it to Huna, and he brought something up really poignant. He said, the right side is all the good side. And he said that was a reversal, and he went into the father of light, etc., and all of Huna's knowledge. And I was like, oh, wow. And he talked about how the actual motion in the ceremony, they were doing it the good way. So they were rewinding past stuff. So actually, he was pointing out that was a ceremony that was reversing the previous stuff that had gone on, many, many years in many, many sporting and other events. And the whole thing of reversal, and you mentioned in the week, you saw Tenet, and Christopher Nolan's film is all about that reversal, simultaneously going in a bad direction, but reversing it in a good direction. And Huna brought that up, which I thought was really, really cool. It was some light at the end of the tunnel with that game.
Yeah, well, I had a brief look at the thing in the middle, because it was an empty stadium. The singer I'd never seen before. Some people were saying, was it Michael Jackson? And I didn't pay much attention to that. But the opening bit was like all these guys with they looked like demons.
Yes.
But I didn't get the usual icky feeling like I did with Madonna and J-Lo and all those satanic witches that in previous years when I've looked at these things. But to be honest, I've not looked into it enough. But if it is reversing that's very, very interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting, because on the surface it looked like it, but yeah, actually, when you look at the directions and the side, the sides are doing it, it's like, oh, okay. And then, 45th president, 45 was the last guy to score. White comes to Florida. You got the Winter White House in Florida currently.
Well, I'm surprised the BLM let him play.
Yeah.
He could have said, you're going to change his name before he's allowed to play.
They could have done. But all things point to, it was in the Donald Trump Stadium. The Raymond James Stadium comes to Donald Trump Stadium. So there was, there was a lot of good things with it,
Sorry, Tom. Can you just explain that one? How does Raymond James Stadium come to Donald Trump Stadium?
Yeah, so Raymond comes up to the value 90. James comes to 48. So 90 plus 48 comes to 138. And Donald Trump, so Donald is 50. Trump is 88, 50 plus 88 comes to 138.
Saying that, I've seen a lot of 88s since I last spoke to you.
Brilliant.
A lot.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I wonder, right? So I also watched, me and the kids watched Interstellar last night, which I've not seen for a few years. And honestly, they were gobsmacked by the end of it because they didn't see any of that coming, right? And I remember when I first saw it, I didn't see that ending coming.
Yeah.
And they were like, what does that mean? I said, well, that's how you get communicated with through other dimensions. That's why we see all these numbers.
Yes.
My son sees numbers all the time. And I said, that's how it's working. It's your higher self, or it's other spirits or whatever, or other beings, other dimensions communicating with you.
Yes.
In a way, in the best way they can, because you're in a dense dimension and they're in a different place, even right next to you. In effect.
Yes.
And I thought, I'm just fascinated with film directors at the moment. I've been trying to take my time out. Has been, I'm going to watch a movie and switch everything.
Watch a movie, yeah. You said the other day on one of the groups, you said Batman Begins has everything in it. Yeah. And I concur with that, and added to that Dark Knight and the Dark Knight Rises. But what stood out for you in Batman Begins, Mark? I'm interested to hear that.
Yeah, I'm going to have to think back a little bit, because Batman Begins, I loved it when it came out, but then the Dark Knight was so good Whenever I've wanted to watch another Batman again, I've always gone back to that one because I just love Heath Ledger. It's just extraordinary. Who died at the age of 27 and was in that club, probably sacrificed, but like a lot of actors and singers. What a loss! Great talent. Batman Begins. Let me think. There was just tons of symbolism in it, with the climbing of the mountain and the self-imposed exile, and the there's all the first thing is that, and I mentioned in this video before, is when Bruce falls down the well and his dad, and it's a lovely performance between father and son, unlike other Batman films, and he says, "Why do we fall down, Bruce? In order to get back up." And this fits in with Huna's stuff about there and back again. Sure, we'll talk about this.
I think we did a little bit, yeah. We mentioned that part about picking us up, so we can learn to pick ourselves up again. Yes,
so that fits in with the there and back again idea, which fits in with Tolkien and Bilbo Baggins' book There and Back Again, which is all tied in with this the way that this process that we're going through at the moment, and the process of life, and also the hero's journey. It's all there and back again. It's all the same pattern. It's a repeating pattern, which is really cymatics and sacred geometry, and it all connects. So I'd have to think about that if I made any notes on Batman Begins. But all of those three movies are absolutely jam packed with stuff. If you break it down. But currently my head's full of Interstellar, which we were dissecting with my kids last night, which is great fun.
Yeah, there's a piece in there actually that's really interesting. There's a section there. So in the film, you can see it there's clips of it on YouTube, this segment. But when Matthew McConaughey, who is Joseph Cooper, or Coop, they call him Coop.
All right.
You know, he's everyone's favorite cowboy, and he's saying goodbye to his daughter Murph.
Yeah.
And Murph comes to 76, which is Ripple, it's Emmett for Back to the Future films, it's Sydney, it's Thomas. So I noticed that, and then the father, played by John Lithgow, is called Donald, and Joseph McConaughey is the star of it, Coop, and he goes, "Let me pull up Coop," and he goes off, but then he says goodbye to his son, and his son, who's played by Timothée Chalamet, as a young guy. He's a bit more grown now. So he hugs him. He says, "You know, here's the truck, Tom." And Joseph turns to. So I like that as well because there's Tom. It's I noticed it again because it's my name. I like the personal marks. But then you see Donald's John Lithgow, and Joseph turns to Donald and says, "Look after my children, Donald." And then he leaves, and he's leaving Earth. And I saw that, and I've seen that a few times, but as soon as I saw that this side of 2020 and lockdown and all the rest of it, it jumped out to me, and I'm like, that's just a direct reference to the kids. So he's saying, Donald Trump, look after my kids. So, save the children, basically. And that's what he's been doing. And Christopher Nolan, as I've said, many times now, is a white hat director. He's got involved. He is. He totally is.
Because I always wonder whether last time we met, I said I was going to get you the notes for Back to the Future. I haven't got those. So I'm going to make a note of that.
To be continued.
Yeah. But I was looking him up, Christopher Nolan. Firstly, I was like taken by. He reminds me of Harry Enfield.
Yeah, I can see. Yeah.
A little bit of Harry Enfield. But hang on, son number 3 hit. Just recording. Don't go on camera. We're on YouTube. You stay off camera. Good. Go and have some of that. Thank you. Sorry, this is real life YouTube.
It's real life, yeah.
With kids. Harry Enfield. So my question to you is, because I've often thought George Lucas and lots of these guys had knowledge. However, if you look at the Back to the Future stuff, the stuff in there, I wonder whether Robert Zemeckis had did all of those things deliberately, or whether this stuff is just happening by the universe.
It's a good question, because I thought so. Robert Zemeckis, his numbers come up to 169, which come up to the Great Awakening, which come up to Trump Tower.
How did you do that so quickly?
I knew that one. I knew that one.
That's quick.
And it comes up to Tiffany Trump, comes up to Thomas Bushnell. So again, I know those ones. But Robert Zemeckis, and Back to the Future, in my opinion, in a conjunction with all of Christopher Nolan's movies, is a cue film for this time. It's a playbook to what's happening. The other thing as well with Interstellar, Coop, the nickname for Joseph Cooper. Coop is 49, which comes to Bolt. Joseph comes to 73, but you add those two together. Joseph is Egypt as well. Number, so the single version of numbers, number. But you add them together, comes to 121, which is Revelation. 1.21 gigawatts, etc. Back to the Future. And again, we mentioned before the two words, the fourth. So a date, the fourth could be the 4th of March or the 4th of July or others, but the 4th. 88 is 4th. You said you've seen a lot of 88s this week, and there is 33, which is dawn, and it's also gate. Add them together, you get 121.
88 is the Lion's Gate, isn't it?
Yes, it is, and it's also Trump. So 88 is represented by August the 8th, which is 88, which is Lion's Gate, and then the word Trump comes to 88. The word download comes to 88, which is Trump. The word California comes to 88, which is Trump. There's lots of them. Talking of super films and super, so one of the ones I was looking at last night, I've looked at before, but I saw some more in it. You've got Superman, you've got Batman, you've got Superman, you've got DC Comics, etc., DC, all that going on. But you've got Superman. Superman comes to the value of 107. You've got 107, but that equals trumps. It equals currency. It equals quantum. It equals military. It equals 20. And then Lois comes to 55.
No, it comes to Mel K.
It does come to Mel K. I did one on Special K because we did an episode on Monday.
Yeah, Mel K is Lois Lane.
She is. Yeah, she is. But Melania is 55. Her value comes to 55. And then you've got Trumps. You've got Lois Lane. You've got. There's a few others. I'll pull them up. There's one for Tesla. But yeah, I did one with Mel just on Monday. And so Kellogg's. So you've got Kellogg's comes to 88 with an S. Kellogg's comes to 88. And let me look up what Special K comes. So I did it a couple of days ago with it. But yeah, some great numbers there on that. So Special K. Where is she? Special K. Yeah, so Kellogg's comes to 88. The word special comes to 65, which we saw on the American football shirt, white, it's Florida. K is 11. Yeah, 65 plus 11 comes to 76, which is Thomas, which is Murph from Interstellar, which is Emmett from Back to the Future, which is Ripple, which is the coin. Back to the Future, Emmett Brown declares the ripple effect. So, think of what you will with that. If you add 88 plus 76, you get 164, which comes to the Super Bowl, which comes to Mark the Apostle or Thomas Apostle. Apostle is 88. You've got all of these things going on, Mark. And if you do just Kellogg, so the guy that created Kellogg's, his name comes to 69, which is Smith. It's also Checkmate. It's also Texas. And you've got the name of the fence around Washington, D.C. is provided by a company called Checkmate, yeah.
Oh, really?
You've got all those things going on. And yeah, dear young Mel, Lois Lane, Special K. Yeah. So I thought I'd do those. I did the Special K. I'll have to do Lois Lane with her next time.
Yeah.
But you provided the impetus for Kellogg's and, all the rest of it last one. So yeah, it's all very good. I mean, if you did this one, get this one. So if you do Kellogg's, let me get this So if you do Kellogg's Special K, comes to 164, and then if you add Kellogg, the guy that created them, comes to 233, which is John Fitzgerald Kennedy. So there's a lot of fun things around. Lois Lane. So Lois comes to 55. Melania. I smiled when I saw that. I was like, oh yeah, 107 trumps Superman. 107 is Aquarius as well. We're in the age of Aquarius now, and it's there's no such thing as a coincidence.
I wish somebody had told me, and I bought my armbands.
Your armbands.
It's the age of Aquarius, mate.
Oh, I thought you were joking about being able to fly, and I was like, you might not need armbands soon, Mark. You might not need them soon.
Wow, I've been told some very interesting things to do with that recently, which I'm not going to talk about on YouTube. It involves wings.
Does it?
It does, yeah. Talking of wings, I've got a woman coming on soon who's written she's written a book about Paul McCartney. How weird's that?
Oh right, yeah.
Yeah, and I was thinking about wings earlier. She just sent me a message. The Shadow of the Bassman. Go and check it out on Amazon. Well, I hate Amazon, but you got to do what you got to do at the moment.
I'll try that out. Oh, you'll like this, Mark. This is the other part of the Superman bit I did just yesterday. So daily. So think of the Daily Planet, the newspaper in Superman in Metropolis where Clark Kent works. So daily comes to 51, which is Batman, which is also Gisara.
Well, that means that 107's new social media platform, 107 Daily, means Superman and Batman. Doesn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, it does.
Yeah. And
so 107, so that will be, 107 comes to 158. Yeah. 158 translates into 230. 230 is the length of Tenet. If you do, so daily and then planet comes to 68. Planet is Baron. So Baron Trump, Barron, not the Baron spelling in the books, but Baron today, 68. Comes to root as well, comes to language. Christopher Nolan loves to talk about the word language when he's describing his films. But Daily Planet comes to 119, which is Nikola Tesla. It's also Central Park. The Daily Planet comes to 152. 152 or 15/2 is a date. 15th February happens to be my birthday. It's President's Day, which is coming up this year. Planet Trump comes to 156, which would be Baron Trump. If you do the word Metropolis, it comes to 142, which comes to John G. Trump. And we know John G. Trump and Nikola Tesla were friends in Manhattan. Manhattan comes to 92, which is numbers, which is Kronos, etc. But I like those ones I found a lot on Batman and Superman, on Batman and Robin, and those ones now on Superman. Batman is 51, as you pointed out. Robin is 58. 58 is Nessara. So Gisara and Nessara, Batman, Robin. And that comes to 109, which is Zapruder, which is the word 17, which is also Diana Spencer that we mentioned before. It's also my channel Psych Club.
Yeah.
So it's all of those, it's all of these things that it's all just beautifully interwoven. It's amazing.
Well, somebody who's just tuned in and doesn't know us might think they'd walked into a Comic-Con seminar in one of those things. But it's, that's why these things are so big in popular culture, and movies and superheroes and everything else are part of all of this, because it's part of our matrix, right?
Yes.
In case anybody thinks we're just a couple of geeks.
Funny geeks.
Which we are. We are geeks, really. Truth geeks.
Truth geeks.
I like that. Treeks. That's a new word. Treeks.
Treeks.
Yeah.
Freaks.
Yeah. So how can we use this knowledge and these numbers and stuff to predict anything, or is it even worth doing that? Because
I like to do that. I have noticed with this though is the Trump team is so far ahead, and dates can be it's like coming up to a horizon. So when you get there, you're like, and then you might think, okay, there's another thing beyond.
Well, I think that's we've all learnt that recently. I think,
we have.
You know, because everybody, you know, inauguration day, I was like,
yeah.
And I was like, I hope I didn't predict anything about this, because everybody's getting obsessed with the dates. It's so we're trying to stay away from that. But in terms of predicting, you can predict the outcome. It just at the time just doesn't exist. It's a bit like the Interstellar thing. It's like, you know, they get back onto the ship and 23 years have passed and they've only been down there a few hours. So it's very.
There was some it's like that. I mean, there was some things earlier on in all of this journey. So the Lionsgate, I thought President Trump I thought he would do a big announcement on silver and gold. What he did was a soft announcement on silver and gold that evening of August the 8th, the Lionsgate. And he did it in a beautiful metaphor of potting snooker balls and also pool balls.
Yeah.
And I did an episode with Charlie on that with all the detail of that. And then another one, August 29th, which is mentioned in the Terminator films, about pulling the plug and switching everything on. I was like, August 29th. So me and Charlie did an episode the day before, and I wore an orange scarf. I think it might have been this T-shirt or another one, but with an orange bandana as a comms. I talked about it, and President Trump is into orange. And then he did a meeting in a place called Orange County in Texas. And some people have said there isn't a place called Orange County, Texas. You know, there's the Orange County, LA, but there might well be one in Texas. I don't know, but it was in Texas. But there was a lot of comms around the things we'd spoken about before. So the August 29th thing was highlighted. And then September 11th, again, me and Charlie did. So September comes to 103. JFK, if he was alive, I think he is alive at some level.
There is an Orange County in Texas.
There is, okay. So it was Orange County, Texas, but that's where it was. And I thought there was at the time. Then someone said, "Oh no, well, there isn't." So yeah, thanks for confirming that.
Do you remember? What was that? The future's bright, the future's orange. Has that got anything to do with this? Because all of that advertising, things like that.
Yeah.
You know, I've read into stuff like. Do you remember? This is a bit of an aside, and a little bit of the geeky symbolism guy in me. There was a company that changed its name to 3, and before they were called 3,
Mercury.
They were called 9. No, before that, I think, or between. They were called 9X.
What are they?
9X, right?
Right.
So when this is like 20 odd years ago, this is how geeky I was getting. I was going, hang on, if you have 9 X's, right? You have 1, 2 lines, 4 lines, 6 lines, 6, 6, 6, and then they changed it. I think
Interesting, yeah.
So, you know, because I'm also really interested in symbolism in corporate logos. If anybody doesn't know what I'm talking about, just go to any search engine, images, and type in corporate logos Saturn.
Yeah.
And you'll find that the planet Saturn imagery, which includes cubes and includes wings, it includes lots of different things, is in pretty much every company, global company, you know, across the world. And what is the number of Saturn? It's 666, because there's the cube of Saturn, which there's a thing where there's 9 numbers in it, and you add that, doesn't matter which way you add it up, at 666, which I'm not saying that Saturn's evil, because it isn't. It's going.
No, it's a planet, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, but planets have consciousness as well, and they're going through their own stuff. And the planet got hijacked. If you look at the Abracadabra Code series on my channel, early on, Juicy and Lucy were talking about having to fix Saturn a few years ago because it was in a mess, because it had been. It's like the way they described it was like these energy guys had come in and messed up the wiring, and he was in there putting it all back together again because it was a mess. And if you look at what's David Icon's Saturn, it's fascinating. You know, talking about the crystal rings beaming signals to us and going through the moon, which is like a firewall and a prison cell warden that keeps us all in this matrix. So all of these things are connected.
Well, in Interstellar, they travel to Saturn, don't they, to the port, and then come back. So it's like, it seems like there's something out there. But yeah, like you say, everything is inherently good, but something's got hijacked and they're being reversed and coming back to goodness again.
There and back again.
There and back again, yeah. The hero's journey, there and back again. But another one that you said about predicting. So Charlie and I did one on the 10th of September talking about September 11th. And 103 comes to JFK's age, comes to the month of September. It also comes to Princess. Also, I've realized recently, comes to Jack Kennedy. So Jack is 25, Kennedy's 78, comes to 103. And then the word 11 comes to 63. And you think of the optics in 63. So I was like, this is a clear marker, something about JFK. And then the following day, they had a very quiet, very quiet, very low-key memorial service at Flight 93. And 93 is the value of my last name, Bushnell. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. I hadn't twigged before until I looked at it. And I didn't realize they were going to do one there. I thought they might have one, in New York at, the New World Trade Center and stuff. But they had one out by Flight 93, very low-key. President Trump, Melania was there, and a few others. And there was a guy called Mr. Ed Root. They introduced him as Mr. Ed Root. And for me, he represented Kennedy. I thought maybe perhaps he was the original Kennedy, but he looked quite a lot younger and his face looked a bit different. But he had glasses on, but he was speaking in this kind of electronic JFK voice. When you just listen to it, it sounds like JFK talking. And there was a lot of comms he spoke on. And then afterwards, President Trump talked about, he said a word slip, and he said, take to the skies, but he said, this disguise above this field, and he was talking about people were in disguise, i.e. this Mr. Ed Root, and I think there were some others. And then I commented on it a few days later, did a follow-up episode, and I said perhaps JFK was there, Bobby, and maybe Junior, and I got orbs appearing again in my videos when I said that. So I was like, okay, like you get your spiders, and I get the orbs, and I was like, okay, so that's cool. And we'll see what happens in regards to that with JFK. But I get a lot of good markers on him. I get a lot of good markers on all of the Kennedys. So yeah, it can give you, for me, the numbers give me confidence and reassurance that this is, it's helped me understand that yes, there are other dimensions. Not everything is as it seems physically in this realm. And I think a lot of people are beginning to sense and actually experience that now as we're going through this journey of 2020 and 2021. And some of us would have experienced it before,
It's pretty wonderful,
It is amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing. The feelings, the messages, the colors, the things I'm seeing, are just, I was looking outside the other night, and I'll tell you what I was watching. It's some of Gina Maria Colvin Hill's channel, and she's amazing. She's basically an incredible spotter of UFOs and things like that. And recently, she's been looking at CCTV cameras around the world that have been showing all these plasma webs coming out of lights, and it's obviously benevolent, and it's obviously not of this realm or the one that we can see.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was discussing this with my kids, because I was posting on Facebook before I started my YouTube channel every time I saw a UFO.
Yeah.
And I've seen loads of them, and I saw thousands of ships in the sky about 6 weeks ago, thousands of them. And I was like rubbing my eyes. I was like, when am I seeing things? And I'd just been drinking tea. It was just me going outside.
When you see them, Mark, is that you physically seeing them just like you and me are talking, or do you sense a part of a dimensional conscious visual? Is there a mix? Is there a blend, or is it purely just like you see me or a tree, you see them as clearly as that, or is there a kind of conscious understanding, awareness that you feel when you're doing it? Is it a blend of both, or?
I just want to say to anybody that's never seen me or anything before, I used to be a pilot. That was my first job. I know lots about how things fly and how they move.
You and Mahoney are both pilots. Okay.
Oh, is he? Right.
Yeah.
So, and I've been seeing UFOs my whole life, and
right.
The majority of the ones that I've seen have been white lights that move at speeds and directions that are not possible with anything we currently know, hence unidentified, right? This was different. This was exactly what you just said. It was like a merger of a kind of knowing.
Yeah.
It was like pretty much almost everything that I'm doing in life now is based upon where I'm being pulled. I'm being directed by everything that I'm doing. Anybody that's messaged me in the last year and wonders why I've not messaged them back, anybody that I've cut off Facebook, and it's just I've had to do it. I haven't. If I'm not replied to you, it's because I've been directed to do other things. It's not me being rude or anything else. There's like things to do that are important. I don't fully know how important or why, but this is what I'm being told.
Yeah.
And this was a case of just knowing that I had to go outside and look up. I mean, you ask my kids, I'm always outside looking up, even when it's freezing cold. I go out with my hat, and remember Wilf in Doctor Who just sits outside with a telescope and a flask of coffee. That's Bernard Cribbins. I would love to do that. I just sit outside all night with a telescope. So I'm out there looking, and then normally I'm looking in this part of space, and then sometimes I forget to look over this part, right? So I got another look over this part, and then suddenly it's like they shimmered into view, and I was like, whoa, and then they shimmered out again, and then they shimmered back again, and then they shimmered out, and it was like they were saying hello. Interpret that how you like, but that's what I saw. And there were thousands and thousands of them.
Wow.
And if you look at Gina Marie Colvin Hill's channel, there was a fantastic video that she put up about a week ago of this elliptical classic UFO shape on a CCTV camera in front of the Eiffel Tower in Paris. And this thing just literally dropped into view like this.
Mark Tower, that comes to Eiffel Tower.
Does it?
Yeah.
So, I find it, and I think, why do we talk about these numbers? Why are you so interested? It is because it's all about communication. It's the fabric of the universe. It's even my eldest son came in beaming, saying, "Oh, I've just watched 3 documentaries on the pyramids," and I was like, "Oh yeah, what did you learn?" And I didn't say what were you watching and why. And he said, and then he said to me, he said, according to Tesla, it all comes down to 3, 6, and 9.
Yeah.
And I said, "It's right, son. They don't teach you in this school, do they? You don't get taught."
And you know what the pyramids come to, Mark?
What, the word or the
2 words, the pyramids, so plural, the pyramids, comes to 138, Donald Trump. Yeah. And you said Tesla, 369, etc. So Tesla and Trump have been going, they've been doing this for a long time, going back and forth through time. Another one I worked out today, which was fun. So the word I think we mentioned this before, but the word revaluation comes to 138, which is Donald Trump. Dome of the Rock comes to 138, but also the bank account, just pure and simple, the bank account comes to 138, Donald Trump. And that makes perfect sense. It's like the revaluation, all of the currency, all of that going on, the gold and silver. You see it in Tenet with the gold falling out the back of the plane.
Yeah, I saw your message about that earlier, and I was like, look at all that gold.
I know. But the pure and simple, the bank account, the quantum financial system, all of that is all tied into it. Biblical. There's a biblical verse in Malachi, the last book in the Old Testament, and Malachi 3:10 talks about the windows of heaven and the people receiving a blessing that they can't receive. It's so large, and I've known that verse for a while, and what it makes me think of is, well, there's a few things. So there's a film 3:10 to Yuma you'll know about. There was 2. There was an old one, and then there was a remake of it with Christian Bale, Batman, and I think Russell Crowe is in it. But 3:10 to Yuma, President Trump has been going down to the wall in Arizona, in Yuma, plenty of times. Wall, you think of Wall Street. Wall comes to 48. Zim, it comes to Tom. It comes to James. It comes to that stadium, Raymond James, Donald Trump Stadium, etc. But if you look at the number 3:10, the words 3:10, the quantum financial system, all together comes to 3:10, and so it's like. And the other thing about it says Windows. Window comes to 88, which is Trump. Windows is 107, which is Trump's, which is currency, which is quantum, which is Aquarius, which is Superman, which is 20, which is military, all those things. And it's like the windows of heaven. Heaven comes to 55, which is Melania, which is Lois, which is JFK Jr., JFK Jr. It's all of those things. So it's windows of heaven, windows of Trump, a great blessing upon the people, which is just Sarah and Nasara in this modern way that we understand it. But it was there in the Old Testament, centuries, thousands of years ago. But it ties to 3:10. The quantum financial system comes to 310. It's just the way it's done. It's just perfect. It's amazing. It's higher dimensional, coming down into the 3D world, and that's why it's so joyous when we discover it. We go around the horizon or over the horizon or around the corner, and we see something else. You know, the conscious periscope is a delight to behold. You know.
Oh, that's a beautiful line. That's a beautiful line to end it on. Actually, that's also going to be the title, the conscious periscope. Have you said that before?
I haven't. You know what? I should do the numbers on it. Do you want me to do it now?
The conscious periscope.
Or I can ping it to you and you can put it in the title.
Is a delight to behold, you said. That's lovely. That's poetry.
There you go. You're teaching me well, Mark.
I'm going to put this in a poem. I'm going to nick that.
The conscious periscope is a delight to behold.
That's a beautiful line.
I like that.
I love that. I love that.
The conscious periscope is a delight to behold. I like that too.
That's
yeah.
Stunning. I was going to call this reassurance from the numbers, but yeah, the conscious periscope is a delight to behold. I love that, Tom. That's a bit of
Thanks, buddy. You remember that in the old Batman movie? You know, Adam West and Burt Ward, I think it was, Batman and Robin. You know, the one from the 60s, 70s. And there was the Batman movie.
Shark repellent spray.
What's that?
Shark repellent spray.
Yeah, and there's a bit in there, submarine, and there's a periscope in that film.
Yeah, I know. And you got all of them in that submarine.
In Dark Knight Rises, when he goes out and Christian Bale flies out and lets the thing blow up, you know. So
don't spoil that film. I've not seen the end of that one.
Have you not?
No, I'm joking. Come on. All we've talked about is Batman.
I know, Batman. Mahoney says that to me. He says, you just talk about Trump and numbers. Let's talk about other. I'm like, that's kind of the point, David. You know, kind of the point. God, I love him though. He's brilliant.
He is. But this is what we're here for, right? Because it's still all about Donald J. Trump.
It is.
You wouldn't know that.
This is the time when he's. Yeah.
You wouldn't know that, but it is.
It is. It is. And we're in Trump's world. You've got Trump Tower. You've got Wayne Tower, Batman. You've got Wayne's World. Look at the nice, Wayne's World, Trump's world. It comes back around.
Squeeze me. Baking powder.
Squeeze me. Beg your pardon. Yeah, baking powder.
Baking powder.
Swing.
Swing.
I remember when that came out. That was.
I mean, talk about a quotable film.
Mike Myers is brilliant.
Mike Myers knew how to make a quotable comedy film. I'll give him that.
He did. He talked about it as well. It closed. The other one that's come up recently is so there's this whole thing of 144,000. Biblical and other areas of thinking. 144,000 people got their own thinking and thoughts on that, which is all fine.
Yeah.
But one of the values, digital soldier, which we all are, digital soldier comes to 144.
Yeah, I got told the other day that it's actually just 144.
Really?
Rather than 144,000. And then there's just tons of different. Look,
maybe it is, but 144. One of the values is digital soldier. Well, so all of us that got a strike or got our Twitters taken down when President Trump got his taken down. What a great group to be in. It's like, all right, boys and girls, we got your number. You're in a good band,
and if you're getting trolled and you're getting slagged off, yeah, you got to be doing something right.
Exactly.
Or not. It depends on your perspective. And at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter because God wins. So who cares?
Exactly. And it's all about perspective at the end. Someone can look at something half full and someone can see it half empty, and it's exactly the same thing. So,
Right. Well, it's coming up to the hour for me, Tom. It's been a pleasure speaking to you as usual. And
it's been a great one, Mark. I've loved it.
For everybody, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in to the Conscious Periscope. Is a delight to behold, part 1.
Yeah. Part 2 for next week. Same time next week.
Yeah, it'd be lovely. Yeah, as long as we're still here.
I hope we are. I think we will be.
I'm pretty sure we will be. I'm pretty sure. We've got to keep smiling. Got to keep investigating. This is just exploration. That's what it is. It's like we're unlocking a Rubik's Cube with like 1 billion squares on it. It's brilliant.
Exactly. We're dissolving the matrix. We're breaking it.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Wonderful. You have a lovely week. And thank you.
You too, my man.
Again. Thanks again, man.
Cheers, buddy. Thanks, man.
Cheers, Tom. See ya.
Cheers, Mark. Bye.